Okay, good morning everyone. This is Miss Dana Jean Tambiga and I'm going to explain to you about the Module 3 in Statistics and Probability, which entitled Small Sample Test About the Population Mean. Before I'm going to proceed, so as I've said, there are two sample tests in Statistics and Probability. We have Z-test and T-test. So Z-test and T-test. So when are we going to use the Z-test? And when are we going to use the T-test? So last time we talked about large sample tests. So we can say that it is large, or the sample test is large when our sample size, or N, is greater than or equal to 30, wherein mga 31, 32, and above. So if that's your sample size, then we can say that our sample test is large. And we will use the test, which is the Z-test, right? So we already discussed this one. So this time, we will tackle about the small sample test about the population mean. Wherein, we are going to use the T-test. Wherein, our sample size, umingon tag small sample test, it describes that our sample size is small. So meaning, what are the sample sizes, or what are the values when our sample size is small? So it is less than 30. I already told you about this one. So N is less than 30. So let's go back. So this is our title, Module 3, Small Sample Test About the Population Mean. So as we're going to tackle, let me give you the learning competencies for this topic. So we have identifies the appropriate form of the test statistic when A is the population variance is assumed to be known. Then B, the population variance is assumed to be unknown. And letter C, the central limit theorem is to be used. Then, identifies the appropriate rejection region for a given level of significance. When A, the population variance is assumed to be known. B, the population variance is assumed to be known, and the population variance is assumed to be unknown, and letter C, the central limit theorem is to be used. Then computes for the test statistic value, or the population mean. Then draws conclusion about the population mean based on the test statistic and the rejection region. Then solve problems involving test of hypothesis on the population mean. So these are the objectives. It's the same with the learning competencies. So kindly read with your module. So lesson 1, we have small sample test. Small sample test. Again, we can say that our sample test is small when our sample size is less than 30. So sa may mga values na less than 30, we have 25, 29, less 25, or mga 20, 15, 10. Those are the values that are less than 30. So when the sample size N is less than 30, the central limit theorem cannot be applied, and the normal distribution model cannot be used. So we cannot use the normal distribution. What are we going to use? So I already discussed this one way back third quarter, I think. So normal distribution. So it's not gonna be normal, but a T distribution. So to conduct hypothesis testing about the population mean on sample size which N, or sample size, is less than 30, we must assume that the parent population from which the sample comes is approximately normal. So, though ang distribution is not normal, it will be called t distribution because it's not normal. So we assume that our parent population must be normal. Then further, if the population standard deviation is not known, meaning dili given ang ato ang population standard deviation wherein unsa man toy symbol adto, it's O or O nga pinakatay. So this is usually the case that we use the sample standard deviation wherein it is represented by S as an estimate of a population standard deviation. So maura gihapon sa niagi. Then in cases like this, students' t-distribution is more appropriate to use. So instead nga z-test ato ang gamiton, ang atong gamiton is students' t-distribution. The formula for this is x. T is equal to x, which is the sample mean minus the mu, or the population mean, divided by S, which is the sample standard deviation, divided by the square root of n, or the square root of our sample size. So the students' t-distribution was formulated in 1908 by an Irish brewing employee named William Seeley Gossett. Gossett was involved in researching new methods of manufacturing ale, a type of beer brewed using a warm fermentation method, resulting in a sweet, full-bodied, and fruity taste, because brewing employees were not allowed to publish results. So Gossett published his finding using the pseudonym student. So wala ni gamit si Gossett o real name niya. So ang iyang gigamit is student. Hence, the t-distribution is otherwise known as the student's t-distribution. So example, solve for the t-statistics. So how are we going to solve for the t-statistics? So we are going to use the student's t-distribution formula. So we're in, moro to kaganina. T is equal to x, or the sample mean minus the population mean, divided by the sample standard deviation divided by square root of n. So in here, our given sample mean is 29, population mean is 30, sample size is 20, and sample standard deviation is 2. So in here, ay mo kalibog kay ang atong sample standard deviation is 2 here. So nasayop ra ni siya, it's a typo error. So typo error na siya. So that is 2. So 29 minus 30 divided by 2 divided by square root of 20. So it's equal to, so if we are going to solve that one, so t is equal to 29 minus 30 divided by 2 divided by square root of 20. So how are we going to manipulate that one, or manipulate our formula? So 29 minus 30 is equal to negative 1, right? So divided by 2 divided by square root of 20. So as you'll know, our 20 has a factor which is 4 times 5, right? So negative 1 divided by 2 divided by square root of 4 times 5. If we are going to get the square root of 4, so that is 2 over 2 square root of 5. Kay ang 5 kay dili naman na siya what do you call that one? Dili na siya lowest term. So ang 4 is square root of 4 is 2, right? So negative 1 divided by 2 divided by 2 square root of 5. In that case, kay para mawa ni siya or ato ni siyang manipulate, ang kani siyang ato ang denominator, ato siyang kuhaon, or ato siyang kanang kuanon ang iyahang reciprocal. Let's get its reciprocal para ma-times siya. So negative 1, in getting the reciprocal, ato siyang ibali. So unsa may kabaliktaran ana? So mag-una ning 2 square root of 5, then divided by 2. Kay nabali lagi, reciprocal. So in that case, kay kani kay division man unya kay reciprocal man, so nahimo na siyang times. Wherein ang atong times ato siyang gi-represent og dot. So negative 1 times 2 raised to square root of 5 divided by 2. So we can cancel 2. Then negative 1 times square root of 5, that is negative square root of 5. Alright? Okay, that is example number 1. So, muna siya example number 1. Let's proceed with our example number 2. Example number 2 are given. Sample mean is equal to 90. Population mean is equal to 85. Then sample size is equal to 28. Sample standard deviation is equal to 4. So with that, we will going to use the T distribution. X minus population mean divided by sample standard deviation divided by square root of n. So what is our sample mean? 90 is equal to 90 minus 85 divided by 4 divided by square root of 28. So 90 minus 85, that is 5 divided by 4 divided by square root of 28. So square root of 28, so natay factor sa 28, which is 7 times 4, right? Wherein ang 4 is makuhaan na to og square root. So 4 times 7. So ang 4 makuhaan na to sa square root. So 5 divided by 4, square root of 4 is 2. Unya kay ang 7 kay di naman siya simplify. So square root of 7. In that case, kuhaan na ato na pud siyang i-reciprocal para ang division mahimo na pud siyang multiplication. So reciprocal baliktaron. So 2 raised to the power 2 square root of 7 divided by 4. So in that case, ang ato ang 2 or ang ato ang 2 ug 4 is ana sila common factor, which is 2. So ang makancel ang 2, ang kaning 4 mahimong 2. So the final answer is 5 square root of 7 divided by 2. So if ato na siyang isolve sa ato ang calculator, 5 square root of 7, 5 square root of 7 divided by 2 is equal to 6.61. 6.61. So that is the answer. So ang ganina po sa example number 1, negative square root of 5 is negative 2.24. Kay 6 man agsunod sa 3. So negative 24. So muna siya. Okay? Okay, so all you need to do is to answer what's more. Solve for the test statistic, then show your solution in a one whole sheet of paper. Lesson 2. Rejection region, and level of significance. So you already know this one, rejection region, wherein we have two-tailed, right-tailed, and left-tailed. Then level of significance, we have 3. We have alpha is equal to 0.10, alpha is equal to 0.05, then alpha is equal to 0.01. So the rejection region, also called critical region, refers to the region where the value of the test statistic lies for which we will reject the null hypothesis. It may be on the left or right or both, depending on the alternative hypothesis. So identify the appropriate region for small sample test. So choose the significance level alpha. So how do you choose the significance level? Of course, if naamoy confidence level, it will show you or it will guide you on the significance level. So, kung 90% ang inyong confidence level, therefore, ang inyong significance level is 0.10. Kung 95, 0.05. Then, kung 99% ang inyong confidence level, that is 0.01. So, we already kanang balik-balik. Balik-balik na siya. Then, B, identify if the test is two-tailed or one-tailed based on the alternative hypothesis. So, makaingon mo, og two-tailed siya kung atong alternative hypothesis is not equal. Or kung sa problem pa, wala jud siya gi-mention nga greater than or less than. But, one-tailed gali siya. Kung one-tailed, meaning isa ra ka tail. So, duha ka buok ang possible nga one-tailed. So, that is right-tailed or left-tailed. Kung mingon kag right-tailed, ang iyahang dimension is greater than. Kung moingon kag left-tailed, ang iyang dimension is less than. So, if the alternative hypothesis makes use of not equal to, so it is suggest a two-tailed. Then, if the alternative hypothesis makes use of less than, or any synonymous words, it suggests a left-tailed test. If the alternative hypothesis makes use of greater than, that is right-tailed test. So, letter C, get the critical values from the test statistic table. So, last time, sa katong large sample test, na ako gihatag nga given ninyo sa critical values. Kaya dali naman ma-identify ang critical values kung large ang iyang sample test. But then, kung kani kay small sample test naman siya. So, we have to use the test statistic table in order for us to get the critical values. So, using the T table, critical values are the Z-scores. Or the T-scores na din kay small naman. So, using the T-table, identify the degrees of freedom. So, naman mo yung T-table, diba? Then, degrees of freedom, which is n minus 1. That is sample size minus 1. Locate the degrees of freedom on the left column and match it with the appropriate significance level. For one-tailed, refer to the first row. For two-tailed, refer to the second row. So, kani siya, T-distribution table siya, pero kuan na siya, kanang naana siya ay one-tailed or two-tailed. As you can see, kintahay, for example, maingon ko, ang atong sample size, example, ang atong sample size is 10, kintahay. And then, our alpha is 0.05. Then, two-tailed siya. So, asa man ta magtanaw? Kintahay ang atong sample size is 10, so meaning our degrees of freedom is 10 minus 1, which is 9, right? So, 9 unya two-tailed. Alpha is equal to 0.05 unya two-tailed. As you can see, na ay one-tailed, na apoy two-tailed. So, 9. 9 ang atong degrees of freedom. So, 9 unya two-tailed. Asa man ag two-tailed. So, as you can see, 0.05 unya two-tailed. So, 9 unya 0.05. So, as you can see, muna siya. Kana. So, 9 unya 0.05. Kintahay. Another example. Kintahay one-tailed. So, n is equal to 14 kunuhay. So, our degrees of freedom is 13. Right? Kaya minus 1 man. So, 13. So, meaning, unya ang atong alpha kintahay is 0.01. Unya, one-tailed ra. So, one-tailed. May it be left-tailed or right-tailed. So, sige, left-tailed ta. Ingon tag left-tailed. So, alpha is equal to 0.01 and then our degrees of freedom is 13. So, one-tailed man. So, as you can see, one-tailed, so anhita sa 0.01. Unya, atong degrees of freedom is 13. So, 13 o 0.01, this one. So, 13. So, 13 o 0.01, this one. So, 2.65. So, 2.65. So, as you can see, 2.65 ang iyahang ano tawag dani? kaning critical values. So if two-tailed ay, by the way, kung two-tailed siya, like for example kaganina nga 9 onya two-tailed, alpha is equal to 0.05 onya two-tailed. So dera two-tailed onya 9. So 9, so 2.26. Kay two-tailed man, so there are two tails. So meaning, inyo siyang i-consider ag positive o negative. So, kay two-tailed man siya, so bot pasabot ang iyang critical values are positive and negative 2.26. Kung ato na siyang i-draw, negative 2.26 dire positive 2.26. And then kay kani ikaduhang example is atong degrees of freedom is 13 yang ato ang rejection region is one-tailed niya, left-tailed siya. So as you can see 13 onya 0.01 dera 0.01 onya 13. So dera 2.65. Nya kay left-tailed may iyang giingon. Kung may tag left, negative jud na siya. Basta may tag left, negative jud na siya. So negative 2.65 dara. Negative 2.65. But then kung moingon na siya right-tailed, kung right-tailed, of course adto ka sa positive nga side. So na siya. So yun na siya paggamit ag T-distribution table. So for letter D, establish the critical region. So out from that ganina nga mga info like the level of significance, the rejection region, then the T-critical values, so of course you need to draw. So na makita na ninyo diha. So kindly indicate the alpha unsa inyong alpha. Intahay kung two-tailed inyong alpha inyo jud siyang i-divide og 2. So ako naman mong gitudloan ana. Then for example number 1, we have the quality of drinking water must be monitored often for possible contamination. The pH level measures the alkalinity or acidity of water. A pH below 7 is acidic while a pH above 7 is alkaline. So a pH of 7 is neutral. So a water treatment plant has a target pH of 8. So based on 16 random samples, the mean was found to be 7.6. The standard deviation was 0.4. At 95% confidence, is there enough evidence to say that the sample mean differs significantly from the target mean? So, of course, for your example, you need to choose the significance level. So, gikan sa atong problem which is 95% confidence, so of course, ang atong significance level is 0.05. So, then for letter B, identify if it's two-tailed or one-tailed. So, it's the rejection region. So, unsa may gi-mention dere? So, wa man siya giingon nga greater than or less than. Ang era is at water treatment plant has a target pH of 8. So, mo na iyahang giingon. So, wala man siya giingon nga greater than or less than. So, meaning, automatically, two-tailed. Because our alternative is not. So, automatically, kung wala i-mention nga greater than or less than, ang atong null hypothesis is mu is equal to 8.0. Then, ang atong atong alternative, is mu is not equal to 8.0. So, letter C, get the critical values from the test statistic table. Unsa naman So, unsa man to ato ang kuan? Unsa man to ato ang pila iyahang sample size 16. Then so kung sample size niya is 16, so meaning ang iyang DF is equal to saman 15. Then ang iyahang ang iyahang alpha is 0.05 kay kuan man 95% confidence man, and then two-tailed siya. So based on our T distribution, makita na to our T table. So atong tan-awon T table. Tanawa tong T table. So again, our DF is, our degrees of freedom is 15. Unya, two-tailed. Unya, 0.05. So, two-tailed. Unya, 0.05. Unya, 15. So, dera. 2.13. Unya, kay two-tailed man, of course, positive o negative dyan na siya. So, tanaw na to. So, dara, yung T-critical values are positive and negative 2.13. So, as you can see, sketch the critical region. So, alpha nato is 0.05. So, of course, kay two-tailed man siya, ato siyang tungaon. So, alpha over 2 is equal to 0.05. Then, dere is alpha over 2 is equal to 0.025. So, dere sa pika side is negative 2.13. Then, dere sa pika side is 2.13 or positive 2.13. So, yun na siya. Dali ra kayo. Then, for example, number 2, we have the agriculturist claim that the height of Malawi seedlings in the nursery is less than 6 centimeter. So, muna ihang gi-claim sa agriculturist. So, a sample of 5 seedlings were chosen at random and the mean was found to be 4.6 centimeter with a standard deviation of 1.5 centimeter. Is the claim true at 95% confidence? So, mo ba? So, letter A. So, what is our significance level? So, 95% gihapon. So, that is 0.05. Ito ang alpha or significance level. Is it one-tailed or two-tailed? So, as you can see, aningon man siya, the height of Malawi seedlings in the nursery is less than 6 cm. So, that is left-tailed or one-tailed. One-tailed siya nga left-tailed. Then, so it is one-tailed, left-tailed test because our alternative is mu is less than 6. And then for letter C, what is our degrees of freedom and our critical values? So, ningon siya ang sample of 5, meaning ang atong n dire is 5. And then our DF, kay minus 1 man, so 5 minus 1, that is equal to 4. And then the critical region is critical value is T is equal to negative 2.13. So, og atong i-check. So, ato na po na i-check sa iyahang T table. So, sa to, 4 unya one-tailed. 4 unya one-tailed, yang alpha is 0.05. One-tailed siya 0.05 dara. One-tailed unya 0.05 ang iyahang alpha unya 4 ang iyahang degrees of freedom. So 2.13 unya kay left-tailed man siya, so buot pasabot ang ato ang critical value is negative. So dara. Critical value is negative 2.13. Muna siya. So, dali ra kayo. Our alpha is 0.05. Then, our critical value is negative 2.13. And then, left tail siya. Kaya ang iyahang shaded part is left. So, all you have to do is to answer each problem 1 and 2. So, just follow the following A, B, C, and D. Then for lesson 3, drawing conclusion about the population mean, which is N is less than 30. So in here, drawing conclusion, wherein we atong tanawon og mo accept data or mo reject sa ato ang null hypothesis. So, in small statistic test, the decision rule for the null hypothesis is based on the test statistic value and the rejection using the t-distribution table. So for two-tailed tests, reject the null hypothesis if the computed test statistic is less than the negative. So, di na ako i-discuss. So, ang inyo halang dyan timan-an ani, kung mutunong siya sa ato ang shaded part. So, mutunong siya sa atong shaded part, ang atong value, kintahay atong value in here sa example number 1 is 2.24, negative 2.24. Kintahay katong example number 2 dire ganina. So negative 2.13 ang atong alpha is 0.05. Dire. Unsya atong itunong tong kuan, ato tong i-plot ning negative 2.24. Negative 2.24 ug asa man na dapit ng negative 2.24, asa na siya dire? Naaba na siya dire sa gawas sa atong shaded part or naaba na siya dire sa sud sa atong shaded part. So kanang negative 2.24 is mas gamay na siya kaysa sa negative 2.13. Kay kung negative gali, mas gamay nga number, mas dako. Mas dako nga number, mas gamay. So negative 2.24, negative 2.13 man na siya. So meaning somewhere here na ang negative 2.24, negative 2.24 somewhere here ani. So anhi dapita. So negative 2.24. What are we going to kanang conclude? Kung yun ana. So timan-an lang jud ninyo basta mo tunong gali na siya sa ato ang shaded portion, meaning we have to reject our null. So for example number 1, mo gihapon maura man siguro ni kaganina. So and then gisumpayan lemon siya computing the test statistics. So ang atong test statistic is ang atong sample mean is 7.6. So gikan siya sa ato ang problem. Ganingon siya ang atong sample mean is 7.6. Then our standard deviation is 0.4 or the sample standard deviation. And then our tawag na ni population mean is 8. So dara. Then our sample size is 16. So dili ni siya Z ha, T ni siya. T kay T distribution man ni ato ang gi. So T is equal to X, which is 7.6 minus mu, which is 8 divided by S divided by square root of N. So 7.6 minus 8 divided by 0.4 divided by square root of 16. So 7.6 minus 8, that is 7.6 minus 8 divided by 0.4 divided by square root of 16. So 7.6 minus 8 is equal to negative 0.4, I think. Negative 0.4, then divided by 0.4 divided by square root of 16 is 4. So meaning, ug ato na siyang i-reciprocal, negative 0.4 times 4 divided by 0.4, makancel ag 0.4, so ang nahabili na lang is negative 4. So negative 4. So, kung ato nang i-locate ang or atong i-plot ang negative 4 sa ato ang sketch, so asa man nadapit ng negative 4? Anhin na siya somewhere here. Dire, somewhere here. Negative 4. In that, and with that, ato makit-an nga ato ang plotting is ning natunong siya sa ato ang shaded portion. Wherein, so negative 4 is less than negative 2.13. So we need to reject the null hypothesis. So the conclusion, there is enough evidence to reject the null hypothesis. So there is a significant difference between the sample mean and the target mean. So the sample does not come from the population whose mean is 8 pH or pH scale. Example 2, we have the agriculturist claim that the height of Mulabi seedlings in the nursery is less than 6 centimeter. A sample of 5 seedlings were chosen at random and the mean was found to be 4.6 centimeter. Mura maghihapon nato niagi sa lesson 2. So ang iyan na lang is gisumpayan na lang niya og computing the test statistic. So computing the test statistic, again, this is not Z but T. So T is equal to X, which is, ang iyang dimension dito is 4.6 ang iyang sample mean. Then population mean niya is 6. So 4.6 minus 6 divided by 1.5 divided by square root of 5. So para ma-solve, okay, so again, T is equal to X sample mean minus population mean divided by sample standard deviation divided by square root of N. So that is 4.6 minus 6. So divided by 1.5 divided by square root of 5. So 4.6 minus 6, that is negative. Ato na siyang isolve. 4.6 minus 6, that is negative 1.4. Negative 1.4 divided by 1.5 over square root of 5. So in that case, ato siyang i-reciprocal. Negative 1.4 times square root of 5 divided by 1.5. So pila man na? Negative 1.4 times, ato siyang gisod sa parentheses. Then square root of 5. Asa? Square root of 5. Then divided by 1.5. So in that case, ang atong answer is negative 2.086. So that is at least 2 decimal points, so negative 2.09. So negative 2.09. So atong i-plot na siya sa ato ang curve or T-curve. So negative 2.09. So asa man na siya dapita. So negative 2.13 ang ato ang critical region. So negative 2.09 is mas dako na siya kaysa sa negative 2.13. So meaning naana sa somewhere here. Somewhere here. Dire dapita. Dire somewhere here. So meaning kay wala man siya ning tunong sa ato ang shaded portion, meaning decision rule, negative 2.09 is greater than negative 2.13, so do not reject the null hypothesis. So there is enough evidence to reject the null hypothesis. So there is no significant difference between the sample mean and the claimed mean. The agriculturist claim is right. Wherein ang iyahang claim sa ato ang agriculturist kaganina is the sample seedlings come from whose mean height is 6 centimeter. So wala siya, dili siya less than sa 6 centimeter. Wala ra siya ning differ. So mo'y iyahang result. So for what's more, solve the following in a one whole sheet of paper. Then after that one, proceed na laman pud mo sa assessment. Assessment hangtod 1 to 10. So that would be all for today. So goodbye, and I hope that you will give patience and understanding to our topic. Okay, bye.